Hello, seventh graders. It's me, Mr. Stark, and today is Monday. In class, the purple group went ahead and did the senses lab with dropping the ruler to test to see which of your three senses, sight, sound, or touch, gave the fastest reflexes or response times. And the black group went ahead and did that last Friday. Those of you that were not in class, hopefully you had an opportunity to find some help to do that. Along with that, there was some graphing, a few questions, and a Google form that should be completed and then submitted. Today, we are going to take a look at living things. And one of the things that I like to do with this is I like to ask students about some things that they did last summer. Like, did they go on a fishing trip? You may have done that. You couldn't go to Canada because of the COVID. Did you go to the beach? I drove out to Green Prairie, and lots of times there was kids swimming at the beach. Did you paint your house? Did you go on a family trip? Did you mow the grass? Did you play with the dog? All of these things are things that you can do because you are living. Each activity that you did contains some living things. If I went fishing, there was fish in the lake. There are organisms in the minnows in the lake, organisms in the lake that feed the bigger fish. We have bait fish. We have birds, and like different types of organisms that live in the lake, like snails and things like that. Each of those contain non-living things. So if I went fishing, I took my boat, I used my fishing rods, I have used my fishing line. I breathe the air. So we want to take a look at what it is that makes something living. Okay, living things are usually they're organisms. They're made up of cells. Okay, all living things are made up of cells. Either might be a single cell organism or it may be a multi-celled organism. Usually single-celled organisms are usually pretty simplistic, and multi-celled organisms are usually a little bit more advanced and have some more details to them. Cells are the smallest unit of an organism that is able to carry on all of life's functions. So, what are life's functions? What are life's functions? Well, I put together a little acronym that I found that is used to help us remember some of life's functions. It's Mrs. Gren. M stands for movement. R stands for reproduction. S is sensitivity. We'll talk more about that later. G is for growth. R is for respiration. That's breathing as well as breaking food down to make energy. Excretion, that's getting rid of waste. And nutrition, that's taking in food for energy and things of the sort like that. So we're going to put this away for a while. Functions, reproduction. So let's just talk about those a little bit more closely. Reproduction is an organism's ability to produce offspring that look like itself, whether it's in like a cloning type thing where organisms make clones of themselves, or whether they mate with another organism and sexually reproduce an offspring that looks like the parents. Adjusting to, but anyways, in any ways with reproduction, you're making more copies of yourself. Adjusting to the surroundings. There are stimulus that you are exposed to, and there are responses that happen. So anything that an organism responds to is a stimulus. So if I clap my hands really loud and you jump, that's a stimulus, and your response is you jumping. For you, if you have a dog that lives out outside at home, if you it will get thicker fur. The stimulus is the changing daylight, and temperatures are changing, so your dog will react by putting on a thicker coat. At home, I have a dog that I let out in the morning, and so when we let the dogs out in the morning, they go out and do their business, and then I usually will go fill up their dog bowl with food, and as soon as the food hits the metal dog bowl, they will come running to get fed. So those are stimulus and response examples. Okay, so another type of function of a living thing is adaptation. You need to be able to adapt the thing. So some example, any characteristic that enables an organism to better survive. So like we said, the dog and the cat getting thicker fur. We just had deer season, and one of the things that an adaptation that the deer have is their fur changes color to better match the environment. They become more of a gray color. They also have a hollow, thick fur that develops in between their regular fur called guard hair. These guard hairs are hollow and help insulate the deer so they can survive better in the wilderness, lay down in the snow, and not get cold. Camouflage for prey, or camouflage helps the let's say the mink, a wild mink, which will turn white when have a black, or a weasel will have a black tip on its tail. They tend to blend into the snowy environment, and then the black tip is also if there's something like a hawk or a bird of prey that's going to jump down or fly down, swoop down, and try to get them. That little black tip on the tail distracts the predator. So they can wiggle their tail around, and it distracts them so that they aren't as likely to grab the weasel or the mink by its body, and then they aren't successful at getting a nice meal. Deciduous trees, they go dormant in the winter so that they don't get damaged by the cold weather and having all the water and liquid in their trunk. And another one that we probably didn't talk about yet would be like a bur oak. They have the ability to send up a new sprout off a stem after there's been a fire. And let's talk about one more. No, we'll save that for homeostasis. So our next thing is homeostasis. Homeostasis is the organism's ability to regulate things in their body. So for myself, I am a diabetic, so I have difficulty regulating my blood sugar in my system. So I have to take insulin because my pancreas doesn't work as well as it should. That's one example. A dog will pant to regulate its body temperature. Humans will sweat to regulate body and regulate body fat to control their body temperature. So sweating, you obviously know, you're going into the gym and you're running around and your muscles are working, you're starting to produce energy and you're getting hot, and then your body will sweat to cool itself. But on the opposite side, if you were, let's say we moved from Minnesota to Alaska, the temperatures tend to be a little bit colder, or you move to a colder climate, your body will try to regulate its body temperature by putting on a layer of body fat to help you not have to work as hard to get or maintain body temperature. Same, or on the opposite factor, if we move from Minnesota to Florida now where it's much warmer, we would lose a layer of body fat because we were constantly hot and having to sweat and cool ourselves down, which takes energy and work. Okay. Another function of a living thing is they grow, they increase in size, they develop, they go through all kinds of stages of development. If we take a human, we have a baby, that's an infant, that's a toddler, that's that turns into a young child, a teenager, an adult, and an old person. And with each time we go into different stages of development, there are different things that change within our bodies. We grow teeth, we gain weight, we grow hair in different places. Our brain function improves. And lastly, we have a lifespan. It's how long that we live, how long an organism lives. So that's, one example. One example. So some examples of these things that I've been talking about, the functions of life. This is a little foldable that I've done with students before. Reproduction, adjustment to surroundings, adapt, homeostasis, growth, development, and lifespan. These are some of the life functions. Now some examples of that. Reproduction, make copies of yourself. Stimulus and response, go over to the fish tank and drop some food in there and see what the fish do. They come up and they feed. An adaptation allows an organism to better to survive in their environment. Camouflage so they don't get seen by predators. Maintain stable internal conditions to survive their environment. Humans sweat and maintain body temperature. Increase in size, bigger and bigger and bigger fish as they get older. Changes in an organism's undergoes as they grow. If they grow teeth, they gain weight, they grow hair, their brain develops, and how long an organism lives. So Louis Clement was born in February of 1875 and lived all the way, the long prosperous life till August 4th, 1997, and peacefully passed at the ripe age of 122 years old. That is one heck of a lifespan. So what I would like you to do today, very small thing, I would like you to go back to, I'd like you to go in your Jeffers journal. And in your Jeffers journal, there's a little section in the middle on notes. I would like you to put some of the notes from today, like the living things, that they're made up of cells. The cells are the smallest unit of organisms that is able to carry on the life's functions. And then for the life functions, I would like you to write in there the acronym Mrs. Gren, and then write out these things: movement, reproduction, sensitivity, growth, respiration, excretion, and nutrition. Put those in the notes section under your Jeffers journal. So today you watched a Amoeba Sisters on characteristics of life. You learned about Mrs. Gren's. I went through some of the notes about what makes things living, and you were writing some notes in your Jeffers journal about Mrs. Gren. Good day, and have a wonderful Tuesday. And then tomorrow we'll be back with some more notes, or it's a book assignment.